Hey everybody, so it's been a few months since I made one of these, actual YouTube videos, and since then, we've had 5 or 10,000 subscribers hop on board. So if you're new to this channel, my name's Jack Chapple. I've done a bunch of stuff in business, and I recently ran an e-commerce and delivery company where we both shipped items all around the world, and we made 2-hour or less local deliveries for thousands of items. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you don't know anything about Joisk, go watch the video I recently posted, which was the 2 years of entrepreneurship in 16 minutes. So go check that out if you know nothing about Joisk. But anyways, we're just going to jump into a lot of the specifics. So a lot of the positives, negatives, the numbers, highs, lows, a lot of questions you guys had about everything about running this business, about running an actual business, not like a social media influencer, like, hey, pay me to post this, or digital marketer or whatever. This was an actual business, and some of the, we're going to talk about everything. I'm going to be very candid. I'm not going to make any cuts in this video. So let's just jump right into this here. So let's talk about some of what I learned. Okay, so some of the positive things I learned, and then we'll jump to negatives. Positives. The concept of think global, act local. This is the perfect example of think global, act locally. Okay, so when Joisk initially launched, we were just an e-commerce company specifically using the post office to ship items wherever, all around the world. We were shipping items to, Europe and Asia and Canada, United States, everywhere. All right, just right off the bat, like first week, and but it wasn't profitable, and it was very difficult to acquire new customers, because a lot of them just had Amazon where they were. Like, we could do 1 or 2 day shipping, but so could Amazon. So the people who were buying from us were either, people I know like you guys, so thank you if you did purchase that, or a lot of them were actually people that did not have Amazon Prime and just wanted 1 or 2 day shipping without having to pay the Amazon $100 membership or whatever it was. So it was tough. That was tough to just start off globally right away. We were doing good. We were making money. But then the real thing that started to make me, believe, and everyone else around me think that this could be something different, was the 2-hour delivery. So when Canada Post went on strike, when our delivery company went on strike, I thought about it. What if we just delivered the packages ourselves and we just did 2-hour delivery or less? So that was the real differentiator. When we started to do 2-hour delivery to several surrounding cities, we were getting flooded. I remember the first few hours. The first few hours that I announced the 2-hour delivery, I think I got 5 or 6 orders within like probably an hour and a half. And I was here boxing everything up, packaging it, and I was like, okay, this goes there, and it was crazy. And so the second we put in that local differentiator, so that's when we started to gain ground. And so that's the next thing I wanted to talk about here, was that if you have a differentiator, you can not take on giants, but you can gain some market share against the giants. So again, Amazon, Walmart, all the big retailers out there, the one thing that they didn't have that I could potentially do was speed. They're fast, 1 or 2 days, not as fast as 30 minutes to 2 hours. And the second that got implemented, I was like, okay, we could actually scale this up and do this. And when that happened in December, that was crazy. December, and then we really launched it in February of that year. February later next year, I mean. So have a differentiator. That was big. That was really, really big. And that's when I started to get really stressed out, but we'll get to that in a second. So the next thing, this was probably the most fulfilling thing I've ever done as a positive. I've done a lot of things in business. I've made a ton of money from stuff outside of Joisk, even, stock market stuff, real estate stuff, consulting stuff, tech stuff, GIS stuff, working for others, working for myself, whatever it may be. This was number one, fulfillment, and it was just crazy. I can't even explain it. It's really nice. The feeling of making money is really nice. The feeling of creating something and then people using it from all around the world and making money, that is something that I can't even explain. It's tough. So that's a big positive. Another positive before we move on to the negatives was, so even if you swing and you miss, with Joyce, we swung, and it's like I feel like here's what it felt like for Joyce. My analogy here for what it felt like. It felt like I swang at a pitch and I hit the ball and I hit like let's say a single or a double. Let's just say double. So I hit a double and the ball was coming in, they threw it to third base and I kept running to third base and I got myself out. That's what running Joisk felt like to me, because I made a lot of decisions which I wouldn't say that they were, some of them were poor, but they were, I'll get to that here with the negatives here, but that's what it felt like. It felt like I didn't swing and miss for this one. It just felt like I hit the pitch, I got a hit, and then I just got myself out, trying to get too greedy. So, yes, but even if you swing and miss, you gain a ton of experience and skill. I mean, from the last 2 years, I've gained more experience and skills in the last 2 years with everything than I have doing anything else ever. So running your own business can really push you as a person and really help you grow as a person. I did not expect that. So the next thing, negatives. Let's start off with some of the negatives. Oh boy, we have 3 big negatives here. So negatives or things, I learned, some negative things I learned. The heavy capital requirements of running an e-commerce company. Oh, holy Jesus. They were, I put, tens of thousands of dollars of my own money into this. And I got it off the ground. With that money, I got it off the ground. I got it to some minor profitability, even including marketing costs. And I got off the ground. But, oh man, I think that in order to scale this up, I would have needed probably, just to get to another round of funding, I would have needed hundreds of thousands of dollars. Probably about 200 to 250, I was thinking. And now I had probably $20,000 or $30,000 I could have got from raising from friends and families, investors, around like that. And I probably could have got tens of thousands from just a loan from the bank. So let's say I could have got 50 grand. I could have kept this running and hired people for maybe another 6 months. I don't think that was enough time or enough money to do it. I seriously don't think it was. It just logistically, it was a nightmare to run this. And I'll get to that in a second here. But yeah, I underestimated the heavy capital requirements, I guess. I think to really scale this up, it would have needed hundreds of thousands of dollars. And to make this long-term profitable, we would have needed millions of dollars, which is just not in the realm of possibility right now. So, so that's something. What was, let's see, the next thing here, next negative. Oh yeah, can't leave a comment about that. Yeah, there's, some comments about this. I knew I needed a partner. I knew I couldn't do this on my own. For about the last 3 months, I was actively trying to get partners. I got about 40 applications, by the way. Some of them may have been from you. I couldn't get through all of them. I read through about 30 of them. I responded to about 10 or 15 because, 15 didn't seem like the type of person that I'd like to hire, just off the bat. And so we got needing a partner, yeah. So I was actively trying to do that for a long time, and I got 2 serious people that I was actively discussing with about hiring on board. So one of them, as soon as we started talking, they just were. They had everything. Background checks out. They liked the vision of the company, everything. They were willing to take on a lot of it. They were willing to get more equity for less payment. Pretty much like, not no payments, but just barely anything, really, realistically. And it seemed great. And then the second you start talking to this person, they were not the nicest in the world. So that didn't go well. And then the other person was a family member that wanted to hop on board, but then all of a sudden their side businesses started taking off about a week after that. So they just decided to pursue that. And hey, that's what I did with my life. When I was working for someone else, I actively left and started my own businesses when everything started taking off. So, hey, good for them, good for everyone. It's tough luck. And then I was actively looking, and then things took a downturn, and I just needed to shut everything down. So I was actively looking for a partner that entire time. Now here's the thing, a lot of you too were saying, why don't you just get a friend or family member or whatever? Of course, I asked everyone. Here's the thing, is that some people were very interested, but only as a side job, only as a few hours a day. That wasn't going to cut it. A lot of, actually, almost everyone I talked to was like, hey, yeah, I can help you out, but only from like 7 p.m. to like 9. And then I was like, Come on, that's not going to help. And so why was that so tough? Well, that's because think about, all of my friends are in two categories. So they are either, I was supposed to go to medical school, be a doctor, decided to try business, entrepreneurship, and it went very well. And, so I'm 25 now, so how many years am I? 3 years removed from school, 3 or 4? And so a lot of them are still in medical school right now. Still in medical school, tons of debt. A lot of them went to dentistry, or, some of them were being chiropractors. Some of them are, just doing a bunch of medical things right now in stable long-term jobs where they've had to study for 4 to 8 years to just get this job. And so they've dedicated their life to that. They're not going to give that up for a shot at this. They're not business people. And my other friends are same thing, just, like police officers, firefighters. I don't really have any friends that are retail workers or working at some job that's easy to pass up for a chance at this. Every single one of my friends is doing okay in a stable job somewhere, which is quite cool. Which is good. It's good to surround yourself with people that are doing well. But it's just very tough to get people on board when they're in those kinds of positions. So, so I've actively looked for partners. I was doing the math on this, and I think I would have needed 2 partners to really handle everything. Even if I were to get 1 person on board, we still would have not been able to do everything. I needed 2 people. I needed 1 person to handle the marketing, the sales, online transactions, and do some of the deliveries, some of them to the post office. Then I needed someone to specifically do the 2-hour deliveries, because that was a whole job in itself. Whole full-time job in itself was making those 2-hour deliveries. And then I could do the coding and programming myself. So I needed 2 partners, couldn't get it. It happens. Another negative. Wow. The stress. Again, as I said in my previous video, I did not think that it was possible for me to have a mental breakdown. I'm pretty psychopathic with my ability to handle stress and emotions and all that. The stress from this was something I cannot even explain. The second I stopped this, my health got way better. The second I stopped, I started losing weight again, got in good shape and all that stuff. I mean, you guys saw me. Look at the 2 years of entrepreneurship in 16 minutes. I was like 215, 220 pounds, something like that, while I was doing this myself. And then the second I took a break and eased up on everything, the second that Canada Post went on strike and I could just focus on coding at my own pace, the second that happened, I lost 40 pounds. And I was going to the gym and I was de-stressing, and then 2-hour delivery came, got out of shape again, and then I lost the weight again. And anyways, the stress from running this kind of company was kind of insane. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Let's get into some of the specifics that you guys are asking about. So, who is your demographic for Joisk? Who were you selling to? So, I didn't have the exact numbers because you can't get to these. I didn't ask for the specific information for people. I'm not harvesting your user data, by the way, which is something I liked, that people liked, I guess, may have liked, I don't know. But about 90% of the people, in my estimation, were below the age of 25. It may be even 95% of the people who I delivered to were below the age of 25. I would say about half were actually teenagers. I would say 50% of the people that ordered from us were between the ages of 14 and 19. And then the other half were between 19 and 25, like university students. So that's who largely ordered from us. So I was thinking of this too. People who didn't have Instacart or Amazon or wanted something really quick, wanted just, some of the things that they needed quickly, or something broke down, like with chargers and stuff like that. Those were the typical customers, were people who just needed something really quickly, and people who are young. So, I mean, a lot of the times people were ordering food and stuff for parties, and we would deliver a bunch of party food. It was funny. The amount of parties that we delivered to was kind of insane, or people that I thought were throwing parties. I shouldn't say that they were. And people who were just having friends over and stuff too. I noticed a lot of that. Let's see. So next thing here was we had by the way, one of the best metrics I think I've ever seen for business. This might have been one of the only very, very, very truly positive metrics of this business. Was our reorder rate for 2-hour delivery was in the neighborhood of 75%. Now, meaning that if you ordered a 2-hour delivery, odds are 75% of the time, in my estimation, they ordered again. So that doesn't mean that they kept ordering, but I mean they at least ordered twice. We had some customers probably order, I think the most we ever delivered to one person was probably 7 times in the span of a few months. So people liked the service. People really liked it. So that was quite cool. We had a very high reorder rate. Internationally, though, that number was not as high. Internationally, the reorder rate was somewhere around 10%. But 2-hour locally, it was 75%. So that was kind of insane. So what was your cost to acquire a customer? So the first few weeks when I was testing everything out, just spending a few $100s, I don't know if that counts. I was just seeing who our customers were going to be. So the first few weeks, a few $100s here, we just got a few customers, but then I realized Instagram was the biggest avenue to get customers for us. And then the second best was Google, and then the rest of them just weren't working. Like Facebook wasn't as good. I tried Twitter, I tried even Bing. I tried a few different avenues, but Instagram and Google were the 2 big ones. And the cost per acquisition on Instagram was actually pretty good. So some days the cost to acquire a customer, depending on the virality, if we posted a video or something that people liked, or if it was just ads were working better that day. The low days were about $2 to $3 a customer, and the high days were about $10 to $13. So there were some days where the cost of marketing was not really worth it. Well, I mean, it kind of was when you think about it, though. Here's the statistics. So on a typical order, we would have made like $6, $7, $8 on a typical order, and on the average order, I should say. And so if the cost of acquisition was $10 to $13, we lose money on the first order. But statistically, as I mentioned before, a lot of them just reorder. And so we don't have a cost of marketing for the reorder. So they come back to us. So it was the cost of marketing was quite low for Joisk when I started out. So $2 to $3 per customer. There were some days where it was pretty, especially the first few days. I mean, I barely spent any money and we were just flooded. And then even some of the last few days too, where we were still getting a ton of orders and I had to shut everything down. The cost of acquisition was still low. We were still having reorders from all of our previous customers. So, so the cost of acquisition it depends on the day. I'd guess it averages out to probably somewhere around $5 to $10. I'm not quite sure the exact number. I'll probably have to look that up next year for taxes. Let's see here. What was your typical day like? So typical day, so I'll separate this into a few different categories here. So the first year where essentially all I was doing was coding the website. So the first year, my typical day was, and I'm not exaggerating on this, I wake up, program for, I guess, 5-6 hours right in the morning. Then I'd make a YouTube video or something along those lines, make a series of YouTube videos, for about an hour or two. And then I would program for another 5, 6, 7 hours. And that was my day. I didn't do anything else. I did that every day for a year. And that was a rough year. That was a rough year. Occasionally I'd go for walks, go to the gym. But as you guys saw, I got kind of fat. I didn't really go to the gym that much. I ordered a lot of pizza. So I did that for like 6 months a year, somewhere around there. And then, so while I was selling, here's what my day was like. So I'd wake up, I'd look at, sales, traffic. Did I make any sales from last night that I needed to fulfill? A lot of the times, I woke up and we'd have 2 or 3 sales. Some of them so we had the option of, if you were to order at we would start delivering, I think it was initially 10 a.m. We started to do 2-hour deliveries, but then I had to push it to 11 because I just could not get up that early every day and have everything. I'd get up, 8, 9 o'clock, but I needed to do things before I actually started delivering packages. So what would happen was that if people ordered at 9 o'clock, we would deliver it as soon as possible the next day. And so what would happen is I'd wake up, If I had any sales or 2 hours I needed to make, I would go and do that, like right away, sometimes in my PJs. And then we would, let's see, look at look at some sales, traffic. If that was done and we didn't have any orders and I had some time, I'd just try to fix some bugs before the next order came in. Try to fix some bugs on the website. I'd try to go to the gym again. That's tough to do when you don't know when your next delivery is going to come. I do some social media work when I could, but largely I was just delivering packages or waiting to deliver packages from 10 a.m. to I think that if the latest we would accept orders was 8 p.m., meaning that I would deliver to 10 p.m. I think that the latest I ever made a delivery was a little past 9 o'clock. So from essentially 10 a.m. to 9 o'clock, I was on the clock delivering. And I would just try to find time to code and do everything else in between there. Yeah, it's tough. That was tough. So that's what my day was like for months. Let's see, next thing here. Why didn't you want to run this company anymore? Okay. Yeah, this is kind of self-explanatory. I probably could have kept it running a little longer, a few months, who knows. But I stopped because, well, money was getting a little tight. But again, I could have done a coding project it's not that difficult for me to get funding or even just make money myself. I have a lot of connections. People are always willing to hire me to do some sort of project or speech or whatever somewhere. It's not that difficult. But why I really stopped was it is just a logistical and stress nightmare. So people don't realize, I mentioned it earlier, is that like we had to, there were so many different aspects of this business that are so logistically tough to do by yourself, that if I had a partner, I probably would have kept this business running and raised money. If I had a partner. That's the thing. Here's what I want everyone to take, is that if I did have a partner or two partners, I probably would be doing this right now still. And Joyce would still be running. But I just could not get one. I could not get one. It's just unfortunate. So, so that was a large reason. Number two, my health and stress. I was not sleeping, guys. I mentioned I was delivering to 9 o'clock, and then I'd make changes. I'd have to code and do all the. If I was delivering packages all day, which happened, I would still need to do the social media. Still need to do some of the coding and the bug fixes. Still need to, do everything else that was needed. And so there were days where I would go to sleep at 3, 4 a.m. Have to wake up at 8 or 9 to start delivering stuff, to look at the sales and all that. Like that was every day. And I couldn't sleep. I was too stressed out. And I was just getting sick. Lack of sleep. And so what happened was actually, this second I shut this down, I'm like, I need to get a dog to get me on a good schedule again. So I actually I've had a dog. He'll be in a video, by the way. He will be in a stock market video that I'm going to be making very soon, which is going to be funny. I'm going to be making some funny videos, I think, soon. Yeah, so that's another thing. Any regrets? Apart from, there was a few fishy transactions that I let slide, like that they slipped through the Stripe fraud detector, and I wasn't quite sure if they were fraud or not. They ended up being fraud. Apart from those two transactions, nothing. Honestly, I think I did everything that I could. So yeah, apart from those two things, from letting two transactions slide that I was questionable about, that's it. That's all. And yeah, so another thing here. Let's see here. Yeah, but again, this is another thing too about stress and logistics, is that what people don't really realize about running an online business, I've seen this through selling anything online, is that the amount of credit card fraud is a lot higher than you think. People think that it's like 1% of transactions. It's like 20%, 30% of transactions, people, or attempts to transact, I should say, are fraudulent. Sometimes 10%, 5%, but it's a lot more. I would say probably out of the attempted transactions on Joisk, about 20% were fraudulent, and none of them went through except for 2. So, and they were just questionable. The person, I guess, stole the cards and did something. I don't know what they did. I questioned it but I was just like, it seems real too. So it's tough to call sometimes. Anyway, so I think that's about it. There's just a what now thing I want to answer. So what now? I'm just going to keep making videos, some Joisk videos. I'm going to be making some coding videos for you guys too. I'm going to be uploading some business skits that I think are funny, and I'll be people don't. I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys. When I was a kid, I was that kid who I would like win our speeches at our school, and I would make comedic. I would just literally, when people would go up and do speeches, and a lot of them would just tell stories, I pretty much went up there and did 5 or 10 minutes of stand-up. And so I think I'm going to try to make some of those kind of skits, but relating to business. And I think I've already made some of them, so hopefully you'll think it's funny. And that's really it. I'm just, I'm figuring things out as I go. I'll add things to Joisk, take some away. If you want to learn how to code, make your own version of Joisk, I'm teaching you guys how to do it on joisk.com on that development course. Link in the description below. And thank you. Oh, by the way, one last thing. Thank you all for uploading videos to Joisk. I don't know how many people have done it, but just shout out to a few people here. Let's see, Demon Maker, Giovanni Hidez, YH Otaku. Let's see, who else here? Everyone who's uploaded videos to Joisk, I think some of them are hilarious too. The clickbait, Giovanni Hidez, did I mention that one already? Slacker Cat, Mr. Pollyd. So some of the videos did not upload properly. I'm working on an active fix for that. That's partially on my end. One of them was on the user's end, but yeah, I'll actively fix that. So thank you all for uploading videos to Joisk, and I'll be uploading more videos to there soon. So if you want to see these videos early, they're all going to be on the Joisk website a day early. So so check those out. And for now, I think that's going to wrap this video up. So if you want to learn how to code, learn how to program, make some money programming or building whatever you want, link in the description below to take the course. It's about 50% off right now, something like that. So and for now, thank you very much. Remember to hit the subscribe and like button down below, and I'll see you guys soon.